Hi, I'm Gavin, and this is the S.O.U.N.D Project. I'm here by myself again. We're doing another solo episode. We're here at the NAMM show, and had some additional time in between sessions. And so one of the things I wanted to talk about today was it's a call that we get all the time where obviously, if someone's coming to Haverstick Designs to design their studio, they want it to sound amazing, but they also know that that's what we do for a living, and that we've got that handled for them, and it's the reason that they would choose us. But so sometimes the aesthetics and the vibe of the studio is more of a priority for them, because they know the acoustics it's going to sound great, but man, it really needs to have a certain vibe and reflect who I am. And so that's the bulk of the conversation sometimes early on is what's this place going to look like? And I wanted to just give you some top 5 tips on ways to improve the vibe of your studio. And the first one I would say would be to find your inspiration. There's a wealth of sources online where just social media or different pages that talk about studios, and they'll show really nice, cool studio photos. And I would just make sure you're perusing those and saving the ones that you really like. And you don't have to love everything about a studio to make it be an inspiration. It could be like, man, the wood flooring in this space was really cool, or I like how they did the lighting in this other space. So it's really nice to just keep a collection, like a folder on your desktop, what have you, and just always save these images so that you have a stockpile to look from when it's time to build yours, to make it as cool as possible. And we actually have a folder that we send out to our clients, and it just has probably 150 to 200 studios in it that they're all numbered, so that we can allow the client to go through that list and just send us an email back and say, number 17, I really liked how the clouds look, or the windows in this space is really nice, and they can just give us a numeric list to go off of. But definitely spend a lot of time thinking about what you want it to look like and how you want it to feel, because with a studio, obviously it needs to sound good. Like that's a given. You don't want to have a studio that looks amazing but isn't usable, and your mixes don't translate well, or your recordings sound poor. However, a lot of the studio experience for artists is how they feel while they're there. Do they feel creative? Like there's a reason our mission statement for our business is that we create rooms that inspire. It's like and the acoustical performance of that is part of that, but also it needs to have a certain look and feel. So find your inspiration and make sure that you have a good idea of what you want the space to look like, and that will help you guide you through the design process. The second one I will say, and it seems like a silly one, but it's taking care of the mess of your studio and trying to keep it as clean as possible. And that includes, cleaning up after yourself, of course, but cables, making sure that it's not a rat's nest of cables behind your desk that everyone can see, and trying to have cable management and clean lines. That's why we always try to get as many conduits in the space where the wires just aren't seen at all. They just pop up at the spots they need to pop up at, and they're not just kind of swirling everywhere. So I would say that when you walk in a room, if you're focused on, man, there's a lot of cables back there, I got to organize this, or man, my desk is so messy. It's like if you clean up your space and have it real clean and minimal and consistent, you're able to focus on being creative. I know this myself. Like at the start of the new year, I can always tell in my office how cluttered it is a reflection of how my life is going at the time. And it's something where I think it was one of the days between Christmas and New Year's, we had the week off, and I just went in and spent half a day just cleaning my office and making it as minimal as possible. Because anytime there's a lot of clutter, a lot of papers, different places, plans, or whatever I'm looking at, it's hard to concentrate. It's hard to be intentional and focused. And so I think keeping a clean studio is going to do wonders for you. And sometimes that comes out in the planning phase and making sure that you have cable management down to a T. The next one I want to talk about is lighting. So lighting is a really big part of a lot of our designs because it can feed creativity. Like when you have a well-lit room, we react to that differently than if it's low light and you can't see to be able to work, or it's just harsh light as well. Like could be fluorescent lights or something else that we react negatively to. But if you have really good lighting, but also variable lighting, because you may not want it to be the same every day. Like you could be in a certain mood and want to be able to change that mood, and to have controllable LEDs or Philips Hue lights or anything that you can adjust the temperature of the light, but also the color of the light. It can go a really long way to set the mood. Like I think of the Crowder's studio that we did in Atlanta. It's an all white room, pretty much, where there's a colorful couch in there, and there's some artwork behind a clear diffuser that we have in there, but everything else is mostly white. And but we can change the dynamic of that room in a second just by changing the LEDs up. And you can do that in a lot of different ways. You can put them behind acoustical panels. You can embed them into bass traps around the perimeter of the room. You can put them behind your desk, similar to what we have in this setup here. You see some of the lighting that Luke from More Than Media hooks us up with. You want to be able to have it adjustable and be able to, on command, be able to change the way the room feels, because not only for yourself working in there, but also your clients as they come in. Everybody's going to have different tastes, and that's what's beautiful about working with artists, is that if you can be more accommodating and change it up to suit their needs, it's going to go a long way. The next one here, number 4, would be to use uniquely shaped acoustical panels or diffusers. And now these are things that are necessary to get good acoustical performance in a room, these types of acoustical panels, absorption and diffusion. But there's a lot of really cool looking off-the-shelf items that you could choose. And a lot of times people will see the kind of stock rectangular shaped panels, and acoustically those work great and they can look really nice as well. However, you can also get panels that are hexagon shapes or circles, or just something that's visually a little bit more interesting. Like when we did a studio for Tori Kelly in her home in LA, we came up with the idea to use hexagons, and it was something where visually she wasn't sure what that was going to look like. So we ended up doing a rendering of it and showing her. And as soon as she saw it, she's like, "Man, that's the route I want to take." And it really is way different feel and a vibe than it would be with just rectangular panels in the room. And so if a panel could be cut on a CNC machine, like if you can provide a CAD drawing of the shape that you're looking for, usually an acoustical panel can be made out of that. And then on the diffusion side, there's a lot of interesting looking diffusers out there. There's custom wood diffusers that have either like a QRD or a skyline shape to it. There's even a lot of things on Etsy that are not necessarily acoustically tested devices, but they give random and decent scattering just because of the irregular surface that it is. So I would say that if you're putting diffusion in the room, that's a great way to kind of show off your creativity and increase the vibe of your space. It's just picking something that's not just looking like an afterthought and looking like something that was just hung on the wall to solve an acoustical problem, but it's intentional for the aesthetics of the space. And the last one, number 5, is add personal touches to your studio. It's something where these studios should be a reflection of you and your creativity. And so I love it when I go into studios and see like little trinkets or things like that speak to who that person is. I know that when we did Tyler Joseph's studio from 21 Pilots, a lot of the comments when the photos were posted were of the Pokeball that he had on top of his speaker, or the skull that he had on his desk, or different figurines that he had around the space, because it's just neat to be able to show your creativity. Same thing with Tori Kelly, I mentioned earlier. In her space, she's got, so there's she was the voice of one of the characters in Sing, that animated movie. And she has a stuffed animal of that character in her studio. And I just think it's great to be able to see, we should be surrounded with things that inspire us or that make us feel good. And it's okay to do as long as you're not placing those items in areas where they could be a reflection point or they could block the speakers in some way, or be a problem. But there's plenty of space in a studio to be able to put these items and really kind of showcase them to your friends, your family, and your clients. So that's just a little quick top 5 things to improve the vibe of your studio. I think that it can't be overstated about how important that aspect of a studio is. Obviously, you want it to sound amazing, and that's something that we can help with. But at the same time, it needs to be a place that you want to spend lots of hours in being creative. And if you think of those top 5 things when you're designing your studio, it'll go a long way. So I appreciate you being part of the S.O.U.N.D project, and we'll see you next week.